relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well. And every day I affirm and pray that I'm blessed with everything I have. I release my fear, 'cause it's all so clear. I am held, I am loved, I am safe. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I am well, I am well, I am well. And now I see what my life can be when I trust in the process and have faith. And now I know when I just let go that I have all I'll ever need. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I am well, I am well, I am well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well. I am well, I am well. All is well, all is well. I am well. Ooh-wee.
Isn't that a wonderful message? Just to keep in our hearts every day, all week. Welcome to Unity of London. And you who are giving up the Canada versus Croatia soccer game at 11 a.m., yay to you. Yay, Canada. We welcome not only you who are here at 501 Nelson, but all who will be joining us online, those on Zoom, and those who may watch later on. And you may, if you ever want to watch the message over again, you can always go to YouTube and do that. We have a vision and a mission that are co-related at Unity, and they are tied in with Unity worldwide. And our vision is wonderful. Think of the words. We say it so often, we sometimes forget. But please say it with me.
Growing movement.
A world
Powerfully transformed
through the growing
movement
of shared spiritual
awakening.
Growing movement. And our mission is co-creating with Spirit to transform lives through shared spiritual awakening. In our way of self-expressing, of connecting with other people, This slide was changed recently, and I think the part at the bottom is really significant. There are only three things that separate us from each other. Our own ego. And sometimes if we think we're right and they're wrong, that causes a great chasm. Our beliefs and our fears. Think about that. That's what separates us from each other. And once we can bridge that, then we can join together and be all one. Oops. Self-expression begins with self-love, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves as worthy, wondrous beings gives us then the incentive to reach out and express to other people. And the 5 principles, really concise on this little book. God is. We believe that God is the power everywhere, all through the world, at all times. Second power, we believe that we are one with God. The third power, I create it. What we think, what we feel, has a major influence in our lives. Fourth, by praying, we are able to connect with oneness. And we can do that throughout the day, 24 hours a day. And living is expressing our love and our faith through our actions. Be the change. We are the change. It's not up to our political leaders to create our change. It's up to us, each one of us. To coexist is a wondrous chance. Coexisting means fellowship and existing happily, peacefully, harmoniously with all nationalities, all ages, all beliefs. And that goes back to our vision and mission. I am so excited about the announcements today. You have no idea. Excited. Well, the first one is that our licensed Unity teacher, Wendy Carr, who set up the Advent discussion groups, will be our guest speaker today. If you want to join those discussion groups, they occur at 2 p.m. every Wednesday until Advent has been completed. You go to courses at unitycanada.org. Today, our prayer chaplain is Dawn. Wilda is not available today. So please, if you want to pray with Dawn, we have a lovely little prayer room. Everything is confidential. Dawn's an excellent prayer chaplain. Please see her following the service. Coming soon, live music with live musicians. So on December 11th, it will be Georgia March. A lot of you remember Georgia, and Dave Simpson. On December 18th, you all remember Jim Chapman. His wife will not be singing with him, but Jim will be here. And that's exciting news. Now, the next part is our bookstore and lending library is open for business. And this is thanks to the initiative and the organizing genius of our board president, Lorraine Reinen. Well, I helped a little bit, but she organized it. So how does it work? She made beautiful little signs in the library. And the books are all set up in the lending library. And each book has in the back a little pocket. In that little pocket is a card. card has the title and author of the book
Made a librarian, they're teaching
alphabetically.
how to use it like old
Yeah.
school. There's a card.
If you decide that you want to take out a book and look at it, please put it back alphabetically. It took a long time for us to arrange them, but it's also easier for you to find. So if you have a favorite author, this one happens to be one of my favorites, Eckhart Tolle. You just print the date, your name, and your phone number. Then you take this little card, and Lorraine bought a dear little box. It's called Lending Library Card Box. You take your card and you put it into this little box. So everybody has different speeds of reading. If it takes you a little bit longer, that's okay. But if it's getting into 3 or 4 months, we may phone you and say, we need the book back. And the lending library instructions are pretty clear. That's mostly what I just explained to you. We also have in the library items for sale. And there are some wondrous Unity books for sale in the library. And some of them ideal for Christmas gifts, brand new books. There are cards for $1, and that's a deal. Bravo to everybody who contributed to Indwell. And to Lorraine and Chris, who did a lot of the carding, the packing, all of you who contributed and made donations, and to Lorraine and Chris took all these items to Indwell. There were a lot of bins. They're pretty big, and they carted them all there. And I think that's incredibly exciting. If you like to sing, put your hand up. There's Nancy. Scott, you like to sing. If you like to play a musical instrument, if you like to just do what Renee and I were doing, sort of swaying to the music, play an instrument, solo, duet, or being part of a choir. And Lorraine created this very vivid, engaging invitation, because we can't right now have live musicians every single service, but we can certainly have live singers. That would be you. So consider that. Every Sunday, we announce that you have an opportunity to pray with Silent Unity. And the numbers are, the phone number, the easy one to remember is 1-800-NOW-PRAY. There is another number, but you can go with 1-800-NOW-PRAY 24 hours a day. They don't ask for your address or your phone number or any private information. And if you are feeling in distress, or you have a personal challenge, any possible reason, these are trained people who work at Silent Unity. You just pick up the phone, you dial, and somebody will answer and say, how can I help you? It's a wonderful service. And you can also put a prayer in the prayer box, which is just down below. Before we go to prayer, you might notice something different. We have an Advent wreath. And our Wendy's going to be talking a lot about Advent today because she's a licensed Unity teacher. But I asked one of our prayer chaplains, the one who is so dedicated, to come and light the first candle. So as Dawn lights the first candle, we can envision the weeks of Advent. This is a camping, a fire starter at camp. Yay, Dawn. Yay, Dawn. And she brought matches just in case. So as you see that light glow, understand that there are 2 themes for Advent this year from Unity Worldwide: peace and light. Hence the songs that we chose about peace and about light. So now
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah,
glad you like that.
50 million now.
Let us go into prayer. And in prayer, we just breathe in. Breathe in the wondrous opportunities we have to be a light in this world. Affirm to yourself, I am a light in this world. I am a light in this world. I am a light in this world. We hold in prayer today all of the people all over the world who may be facing physical or emotional or financial challenges. May they feel strong in spirit. May they be supported by neighbors, friends, and community. We hold in loving prayer today and affirm the courage and dedication of all of our medical support workers, those who are online as mental health counselors, those who are in person, the doctors, the nurses, the personal support workers, and all the people who clean up in the hospital, who prepare food, and in nursing homes. May they feel the respect and the gratitude of everyone who uses their services. I invite you to take a moment now to whisper the names of those close to your hearts. We hold in prayer all of your neighbors, the ones you know and the ones you don't yet know. That they feel that they're part of the community in which you live. This month we hold in prayer Unity Center of Montreal and Unity Church of Agape in Scarborough. May all the prayers that you pray be prayers of affirmation, affirming all that is good in your life in a spirit of gratitude and love. May you have the spiritual strength to release what does not work in your life, to just let it go, to release it and affirm. Release and affirm. Those are the two bywords of unity prayer. Amen. We welcome today our platform assistant and vice president. No, not vice president. Secretary. I just promoted her. Secretary of our Unity of London board. Please join in welcoming Renee Sawa.
Thank you so much. No, it's okay. Good morning, everyone. Today's daily word is hope and faith. Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. As Advent season begins, I say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into my thinking, dimming my hope and weighing on my mind and heart. Today, I say yes to goodness and positivity. I feel a sense of renewed hope dawning within me, a promise that something wonderful is on its way. In these moments, I feel my faith reborn. I reaffirm my belief that no earthly conditions, no worldly circumstance is greater than spirit. This is where I place my faith in the power, presence, love, and grace of God. As I call upon these divine attributes within myself, I perceive them more readily in others. I grow in faith that, together, we have the power to create the world of our highest imaginings. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15:13. As Pauline mentioned earlier, our speaker today is Wendy Carr. Drawing on Unity's 2022 Advent booklet, Wendy will share ways to co-create a Christmas of light and peace. The booklet is available for free download at unity.org. With her message, A Christmas of Light and Peace, please join me in welcoming one of our favorite speakers, licensed Unity teacher, Wendy Carr.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be back at Unity of London. As many of you know, I was actually born there, so it's a bit home for me. Let's not click too fast. So this is the beginning of Advent, as we've been talking about. And for me, it's a really interesting journey. It was something that was celebrated in my church of origin, but in a very different way than I have experienced in my Unity path, which now is over 30 years of my life. So as was said, this is based on our booklet, and I'm thrilled that I've been asked to come back for the last Sunday of Advent. So I feel like I'm kind of bookends for you folks for the Advent season. So that's a wonderful and opportunity. I'm so blessed to have it. So let's talk a little bit about Advent. Some of you present now or watching in the future may not have had that experience. My experience in the Unity community has included people who have come to us seeking spiritual enlightenment and understanding, but from other denominations and indeed other spiritual paths. I have been blessed to have Jews and Muslims in courses, and it's been really interesting hearing their version of what the ceremonies and rites of light and the coming of the new year means to them. And bringing that all together into a real sense of oneness has been a total blessing. So many of you know I have a master's degree in history, and my specialty was actually medieval history. Don't ask me why, I just loved it. But what I realized was I could never go back to mainstream Christianity again. I needed to stay in New Thought like Unity or religious science or any of those groups that have emerged in the late 19th century, because I just couldn't do the theology. Even as a child, there was part of me that understood something different than what I was being taught in Sunday school. And what I learned in my studies at the university was where you were physically in the world, which branch of Christianity you belong to, whether that branch of Christianity was the minority or the majority in your community, meant that how you celebrated all of the holidays and holy days of the Christian faith differed. And I find it really interesting because I was doing some research, and actually I made a big boo-boo last Wednesday. I said that Advent was 40 days. Well, it started as 40 days, but I counted. Our booklet only has 30 days. So we get 10 days off for good behavior or something. So what is it? It's that time going forward to Christmas, that time of preparation. And it was originally 40 days, and 40 shows up in the Bible in a number of areas. Start with Noah and the ark, 40 days and 40 nights. You've got Moses and the children of Israel wandering for 40 years. You have Jesus going out for 40 days and 40 nights of preparation and temptation. So it's a number that repeats because of its symbolism to the Hebrew scriptures, which is as long as it takes to get it done. And so while we tend to put, kind of structure to it, this is just an opportunity to consciously say, I will put some extra time into my spiritual practice to get done what needs to be done to prepare myself for Christmas. And it has nothing to do with whether your lights are on too early or too late, or how big your tree is, or whatever. It's all about the inner work. And that, I think, is really important for me. Because because I grew up in a church of origin where the outer work, where making sure that everybody saw you praying correctly and that you were using the right words and phrases, that I've let go of. It's not my path. It works wonderfully for many people, but I had to acknowledge that it wasn't my path, and I had to find a place that really fed me and kept me in integrity with what I intuitively felt and believed within myself. My mouse is really sensitive. Goodness gracious. And I'm going backward. That's technology. Love it. So as I said, there were traditional Advent practices for the 40 days. And you might have to fast during that time. You might have to abstain from marital relations. I think that will get through the filter. You might have to do certain things of giving to alms or praying certain prayers, very much outside and external views. So what is it about Unity's practice in Advent that makes it such a joy for me to practice? I remember as a child, what we did as a child, well, we lit the candles, and it was a big celebration when you were old enough to have the minister phone you and say to your parents, can I talk to your child? I want them to light the Advent candle. And we didn't have those fancy fire starters. It was wooden matches, and those broke, and it was kind of awkward at times for us kids, but it was about that process outside ourselves. So Unity, inside process. And for those of you who are new to Unity or newer to Unity, Unity does accept the Bible, but we interpret it metaphysically. And by that, I mean each character and story shares a spiritual lesson. It's not a semi-historical narrative. And as a historian, I can tell you, there's a lot of stuff in there that is written very much from one side. And yet we can find lessons and gifts and blessings in those stories that can help us in our day-to-day life right now in the 21st century. So the booklet, if you haven't seen it yet, it contains 3 articles at the beginning, and then the period of Advent, and then the 12 days of Christmas. And no, there are no birds and things like that. It's about our 12 powers, which was a creation of our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. And he decided that for many folks, that understanding our innate divinity was too challenging. And so he broke it down into representations of each of the 12 disciples. And there's colors and places in the body that have been added by others, but the idea that you have the whole, and like a prism with white light, it splits into all of the colors of the rainbow. So we get the whole of that time, which takes us up to Epiphany. And if you've ever wondered what the heck is Epiphany, January 6th, that's the traditional day that the Magi arrive to pay their homage to the baby Jesus. And you might say, well, but wait a minute, the nativity scenes always show the kings right there. Well, that's why I call the Bible semi-historical, because there are so many variations that it's been challenging sometimes to split out the parts. And I invite you, in addition to looking at an Advent book, go look at the books of second chapter of Matthew and the first chapter of Luke. And you'll see that our Christmas story is actually an amalgamation of the two. And that when you take it apart and parse it metaphysically, it becomes a very rich story. But that's another Sunday talk. One thing I have loved this year is that there has been an acknowledgement that things have been challenging these last years as we have worked through our COVID time and our some of the things that are going on in the US. So on the first page, our friends at Unity write, positive thinking does not mean blocking out reality or pretending to be happy when outer circumstances feel precarious. We are human beings, yet we are on a, we are spiritual beings, yet we are on a human journey that is sometimes difficult. This year's Advent messages acknowledge both of those truths, that we may experience tribulation and that our divine nature equips us with the strength and wisdom we need. May you be blessed this Christmas season and remember that you are light and peace for this world. So in the acknowledgement that for many people, particularly in the US, I know my own family in the US are kind of struggling with the divisiveness that seems to have erupted, that it's not a Hallmark Christmas movie. It's not going to be happily ever after at the end for many folks. And there is, as I said earlier, a lesson, a blessing, or a gift, or a combination thereof in everything. In the first article, Igniting the Hope, Reverend Jim Blake, who is the CEO of Unity World Headquarters, writes, "Can we find it or turbulence in the world, and at the same time commit to exuding peace and light to ignite hope in those around us? I think this may be our call this season, to shine forth our inner light of love and hope for all to see, to once again connect with the magic and nostalgia of the season, and to embrace the childlike love and enthusiasm of the season." I think you'll find as you go through the book's idea of becoming as a little child gets repeated, perhaps in a indirect way, but the idea that Christmas is for children and that letting go of our adult mind for a while and allowing ourselves to be the innocent of a child can be very important. The second article, What Child Is This?, written by Reverend Kathy Beasley, is writing, she's reflecting on her time in the US military. She was serving in Japan in 1991, and it was clear that another war was going to erupt. And she writes, she had discovered the song, What Child Is This?, which, as you may recall, is a rather poignant one, and one that really has made it through the seasons and the years. It's probably one of the first ones I ever learned. And she asks the question, in the face of the Gulf War, I quietly questioned, what child is this being born through all the chaos and destruction? In looking at my life away from the familiar, the question became, what child is this being born out of the unfamiliar? And for many people, this is a time of unfamiliarity. It might be a year for the first time without a particular person or without a job or without the usual trappings of the holiday season. And finally, to kind of round out this trinity of ideas, Reverend Therese Lee shares a number of thoughts about grief in all its forms: death, loss of job, changes in relationship, etc. She's actually a grief counselor, and I've had the pleasure of doing a workshop with her and found many of the things that she suggested very useful. And in her article, she validates the feelings and responses, providing ideas for healthy navigation of the season. And she concludes her article with, whatever you choose to do or not do this holiday season, give yourself the gift of staying true to yourself. To the best of your ability, seek out the places and people that allow your sadness and avoid those that ask you to pretend otherwise. Be gentle with yourself. May you be surprised to discover that even though there may be sadness, there may be moments of joy as well. And that kind of leads us into the 4 Sundays of Advent. So the 4 Sundays of Advent, Unity has added the word hope. Usually it's just faith, but they've added the word hope, and I'll explain that in a moment. The second Sunday of Advent is peace, the third, love, and the final Sunday is joy. And so let's dive into the concepts of hope and faith. Our scripture in today's booklet says from Matthew 19, verse 14, Jesus said, let the little children come to me and do not stop them, for it is to such of these that belongs the kingdom, that the kingdom of heaven belongs. Apologies, I'm wearing the wrong glasses for reading paper. So metaphysically, unity understands the kingdom of heaven not to be some kingdom out in the sky somewhere beyond the clouds, beyond the stars, in a physical sense, but rather the kingdom of heaven is that place within you, that place where your divine self exists. It is the realm of divine ideas producing their expression and perfect harmony within humankind. And this is an important aspect to have, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I was raised with the idea that you had a one shot in this life and then you either went up or you went down for all eternity. And that isn't what unity teaches. Unity teaches that those places are places of consciousness rather than physical realms. And for some folks, that might be a horrible thought to have, that idea that there isn't a place where we will all be together for all eternity can be very frightening. And I acknowledge that. And for me, the idea that I have the opportunity to grow and learn, and my soul is unfolding in an eternity of opportunities to have lessons and be whatever it is I'm called to be, is kind of exciting. I still haven't quite figured out this death thing, but I figure I've got time to sort it out. So, and it's Christmas, so let's not dwell on it too much. And let's acknowledge that in many ways, many of the traditions in traditional Advent observations have to do with tying Christmas to Easter. Because without Easter, the birth of Jesus just becomes another teacher, another rabbi, not someone who came and changed the world's consciousness for millennia. So today, Hope and Faith, the first Sunday of Advent. I actually went back into previous Advent material that Unity has published. And this is the picture of the stocking. His name was Stuffy, stuffing your stocking. And he and other characters had little promo videos that you could probably find on YouTube if you look. And he was explaining what hope was, because the understanding, and I am so grateful to Unity Family Ministries, because oftentimes if I get stuck on what a word means, I'll go into the family and youth ministry materials and see how they have vocabulary that's a new word, for children. How have they taken those big words that we use so often and simplified it? Not dumbed down, that's not the idea, but got to the core of the idea and then said, how do we explain this to children of varying ages, from the wee ones all the way to the teenagers who, may or may not continue on with a spiritual path. So their idea was that hope is like a wish. That's how our stocking understood it, Stuffy. He says, hope is like a wish. You can wish for toys and candy and all sorts of things. But as he talks with the human, he's told that hope resides in our hearts, and that our hearts are actually big enough that they can deal with things beyond the physical sense consciousness. Now, they don't say it in that way, but since I'm addressing a group of adults, I'll use adult language. But that when you hold that hope in your heart, that it becomes to the point of bigger things like love and peace and joy, the other gifts of Advent. And as children, wishing and hoping can be easy. But after a few disappointments, we didn't get what we had asked Santa for. Grandma and Grandpa weren't able to come for Christmas. Our ability to hope and wish may become more problematic. I know for myself it did. Spoilers if you have children in with you. I learned as a child that sometimes Santa has to shop at a store to get the gifts that someone wants. When I was little, that was heartbreaking for me. And my parents made me promise that I wouldn't tell my younger sister, and I didn't. We waited till she was ready to experience the next stage of Santa, when you are Santa. So we may begin, as a result of that, of those disappointments, of those things that didn't come to pass, even though we had hoped and hoped and hoped, that we end up believing what the world says about us, that we end up believing that we may not be worthy, that we are less than. And the point of this week is to rekindle that awareness, rekindle that space in ourselves when, as children, or perhaps as older teens, or at whatever age we were, when we realized that we were something special. Just as a sidebar, the word faith and its variations appears 524 times in the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. So I think it's something we need to pay attention to. Hope expects an answer sometime in the future. Faith takes it as having already been given. Hope looks forward. Faith declares that she has received even before there is the slightest visible evidence. Our way is to declare something done after it has become obvious to the senses. God's way is to declare it done before there is anything whatsoever in sight. And that's from an early Unity writer, Emily Cady. And she and our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, both went on to express stages of faith. We have blind faith, which is an instinctive trust in a power higher than ourselves. We have understanding faith, which is where we believe in an immutable principle that is also greater than ourselves. Intellectual faith, when we think with our minds, admits doubt and hope of fulfillment in the future. There's still that wobble in there. Spiritual faith includes unfailing assurance and immediate response. That is not to say that intellectual faith is bad, or blind faith is bad, or any sort of faith that doesn't feel spiritual is bad. It's really important to have faith that people will obey those red lights at an intersection. But some form of faith is better than none at all. And that's what I am inviting you to experience this week, to find ways to bring yourself to an awareness of your faith, and perhaps find places where something that you used to believe could be released. I have a new trinity: unlearn, learn, relearn. Unlearn something that no longer serves. Learn something new, or relearn something new that actually is something old, but it's gone and changed its clothing, and so it feels new. And with that, I wish you a wonderful week of faith, and let us prepare for our time of meditation. Breathing into our space. Of all things, giving ourselves permission to just turn off the outside world just for a few minutes. Hand to hand, heart to heart, soul to soul. We gather together in this time, in this space, knowing that not only in spirit is there no time, but thanks to technology, there is no time. Wherever we are in this moment is right and perfect to just take a breath and be in this space of oneness. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." I just invite you to give yourself permission to find your inner child. Perhaps it's a wounded child, and that is fine and okay. Perhaps it's a joyful child whose exuberance scares you because you're afraid it'll come out at the wrong time. Or perhaps you have a child who's curious beyond belief. However your child manifests, it is right and perfect. And we mentally embrace our inner child. And in this consciousness, we allow ourselves to consider any beliefs, thoughts, societal norms, family traditions, things we learned at school or church or other religious place. We give ourselves permission to let them go. We give ourselves permission to step out in faith, to take that step from hope to faith, to take that step from our sense consciousness, from what we are learning from our five senses, to faith, where we rely on this inner wisdom, this inner opportunity. We bring our inner child with us, not so that they can grow up, but so that they can journey with us and provide the wisdom that the childlike wonder of Christmas provides. And now for a few moments, let us join in the silence and allow us to have an inner discussion of release and faith. And as I come back into this space, become aware of my surroundings, I agree to look for signs of faith in myself and all around me, to restore that sense of confidence that I am linked to divine faith, that I am linked to a faith greater than human achievement. And as Reverend Therese said, may you be blessed this Christmas season, and remember that you are light and peace in this world. And taking our affirmation for today into our hearts. On this day of Advent, I affirm the highest and best for all humanity with the hope and faith of a child. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. Thank you for having me. Blessings to you this week and all weeks.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for an enriching and warm presentation as always, a message for all of us. And we always appreciate you, and that's why we keep asking you to come back, despite your very busy schedule. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please join in singing if you want to.
Joy and peace in my heart. Always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. Joy and peace in my heart. Always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed.
Now that is a new and beautiful song, is it not? What a lovely message. And thanks for this new slide from our dear Lorraine. Just a reminder that we are always so grateful for all donations, not just your financial donations, but your time. Your time that you're here with us, spending with us, sharing your talents behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and your energies. You are blessed, and we are blessed because of you. Sylvia was just carrying around a little bag if you want to put a donation in. Thank you, Sylvia. Woo, so great. We're grateful for that. You can e-transfer any donations if you want to Unity. And as you know, we are able to keep our building with lights and service and warmth, thanks to donations. And we're able to keep our ministry alive, thanks to so many wondrous volunteers. Many, many wondrous volunteers, and we are grateful. Sylvia is standing there for, oh, I know, the blessing. Almost forgot. All right. There's a nice familiar face. Welcome back. Yay. Yes. And if you want to hold up your hand, this is or two hands. I can't. We are so grateful for these offerings. We are grateful for you, for the presence you bring, the love you share, the spiritual energy you generate by being together. And we say blessings to each of you, blessings to all who may watch. Amen. And these wonderful affirmations reminding us, please join with me in sharing. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And at Unity we say, yay, God. And please join in our final song, peace song. Before everybody starts chatting and saying, so good to see you, we wish you a good day, but we also welcome anybody who wants to come up and share a message with those on Zoom or a message for Wendy.